Russia's President Vladimir Putin has publicly downplayed the significance of Ukraine's long-range strikes inside Russian territory, calling them ineffective and insisting that they won't alter the course of the conflict. He framed such attacks as symbolic gestures launched by a Ukrainian regime eager to curry favor with its Western backers, but lacking strategic value. He said, "The regime eager to demonstrate some success to its Western sponsors is attempting to strike deep into Russian territory at completely civilian targets. This won't help." He also underscored what he portrayed as consistent military gains made by Russian forces in Ukraine this year, arguing that Russia retains entire strategic initiative in the war. According to his account, Russia has liberated almost 5,000 square kilometers, precisely 4,900 square kilometers, and 219 settlements over the past months. Whether or not external observers fully endorse those figures, as frontline reporting remains contested, Putin's rhetoric emphasizes Moscow's narrative of momentum and control. In his nightly address, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky, as of 2025 still serving, accused Moscow of using oil tankers as floating platforms for intelligence gathering and sabotage. He said that Russia is deploying its shadow fleet vessels not simply to finance military operations, but also to mount destabilizing covert actions in Europe. He added that Ukraine has observed instances of drones being launched from tankers as one example of this tactic. "We are sharing this information with partners, and it is important that their response to Russia be real." Ukraine's chief of intelligence further elaborated on how the tankers are being mobilized for economic intelligence and sabotage purposes. In the battlefield arena, Russia has escalated strikes on Ukraine's rail infrastructure, which has become a lifeline for moving troops, supplies, and civilian transit since commercial air travel was largely suspended. The state railway company in Kyiv reports a doubling of drone attacks in September compared to August, with strikes targeting border regions and active front lines, namely in Donetsk, Sumy, and Odessa. These intensifying assaults coincide with Ukraine's reception of US-approved arms under a NATO-era aid mechanism and expectations of further European military support. Facing energy vulnerabilities ahead of winter, Ukraine has secured an additional $36 million to harden its electrical and power infrastructure in exposed regions. The decision followed a widespread Russian missile and drone barrage on the 3rd of October that damaged critical power assets across multiple oblasts, including Kharkiv and Kherson. With the colder months drawing closer, Kyiv is racing to reinforce its energy grid and mitigate the risk of crippling blackouts from renewed Russian attacks. A legal and diplomatic twist has emerged in Europe. Poland's Prime Minister Donald Tusk, currently in office, has declared it not in Poland's interest to hand over a Ukrainian national, known under Polish privacy rules as Volodymyr Z, to German authorities. The German government seeks his extradition over alleged involvement in the sabotage of the Nord Stream gas pipelines in 2022. Tusk said that while the ultimate decision lies with the Polish courts, his government will not push for extradition. He reiterated Poland's long-standing opposition to the Nord Stream pipelines, viewing them as emblematic of Europe's overdependence on Russian energy. German prosecutors accuse Volodymyr Z of participating in a group that, via yacht, planted explosives near the Danish island of Bornholm. He denies the charges. The Polish court has ordered that Volodymyr Z remain in custody for 40 more days while extradition proceedings unfold. This stance by Poland places Warsaw in a delicate position, balancing legal obligations under European arrest warrant protocols against its geopolitical posture and historic energy policy. From 8 to 10 October 2025, President Putin is undertaking a state visit to Tajikistan, where he will hold bilateral talks with President Emomali Rahmon and participate in the Russia Central Asia Summit, as well as the CIS, Commonwealth of Independent States Heads of State Council meeting. On 9th October, he will sit down with the presidents of Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, and Uzbekistan to discuss trade, investment, logistics, energy, and regional security. On October 10th, leaders from other CIS states, including Belarus, Armenia, and Azerbaijan, will join. A key agenda is the proposal of a new CIS Plus format to allow external countries and organizations to engage in selected CIS meetings. The summit is expected to produce around 20 joint documents across areas such as military cooperation, border security, counterterrorism, economic integration, and energy cooperation. Putin's visit also underscores Russia's intentions to keep Central Asia within its strategic orbit, even as sanctions bite and international pressure mounts. Analysts note that Tajikistan, which hosts Russia's 201st military base and shares a long border with Afghanistan, is a critical partner in regional security dynamics, especially in light of the Taliban's presence across the border. Putin's downplaying of Ukrainian strikes serves a dual narrative to diminish Ukrainian capabilities in the eyes of observers and to frame Russia as the unshakable actor in control. His figures on liberated territory and settlements are emblematic of that narrative, although scrutiny from independent war observers remains essential. Conversely, Ukraine's claims about tanker-based sabotage reflect a shift toward asymmetric warfare and cross-domain operations, highlighting how maritime, energy and hybrid tactics are being interwoven into the broader conflict. The disclosure of drone launches from tankers underscores how the war is no longer confined to land or skies. Rail as a target, energy resilience as a defense rail infrastructure in Ukraine has become a strategic artery, and Moscow's intensifying attacks reflect its efforts to bleed supply lines and isolate Ukrainian regions. For Ukraine, reinforcing energy infrastructure is not just a protective measure, but a survival imperative. Power loss during winter could magnify the war's humanitarian costs. The extradition standoff in Poland illustrates how the Ukraine conflict has ripple effects across European legal and energy spheres. Tusk's refusal to extradite, even under judicial process, reveals how domestic politics, energy policy and geopolitical symbolism intertwine. The Nord Stream sabotage remains a subject of opaque investigations and competing narratives across Europe. Central Asia summit diplomacy. Putin's state visit to Tajikistan and engagement with Central Asian leaders comes at a time when Russia seeks to sustain influence in the post-Soviet space, even as its global posture is challenged by sanctions and military overreach. The conference is not merely ceremonial, it is a platform for renewing regional agreements, forging frameworks for security cooperation, and maintaining Moscow's role in Eurasian geopolitical architecture. In particular, the idea of CIS+ suggests that Russia and its allies may seek to open some sectors of cooperation to third parties, an effort that could reshape how Russia interfaces with external powers in this region. Meanwhile, Tajikistan's strategic importance is heightened by its proximity to Afghanistan, its hosting of Russian troops, and its shared concerns over cross-border militancy. Moscow and Dushanbe's shared interest in coordinating on security priorities and defense posture around Afghanistan is expected to be a central pillar of their talks.